Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Aftershock Tremor. Jamin Moore here to talk about the Portland Timbers with Eric Walcott from American Soccer Analysis. Eric, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. We're here to talk about the Earthquakes versus the Timbers coming up this weekend. The Earthquakes off to a pretty good start, but they ran into the Seattle Sounders last night at home. Dropped a 1-0 loss. Similarly, the Timbers lost to the Sounders last weekend at home as well. But it does feel like the Timbers are off to a bit of a poor start compared to, I think, expectations for the team. What are you seeing with this team so far that you think characterizes the poor start, and how do they get things going in the right direction?
Yeah, I hate to lean on this crutch, but I feel like a lot of it right now for the Timbers, it's so hard to judge just because of CCL and then a few injuries that they've been dealing with. So obviously, the last weekend against Seattle, coming off the back of an away trip to Club America in CCL, where they were playing for their CCL lives, and unfortunately they were eliminated. But they went all in on CCL, and so I think what you saw there was a squad that didn't have its full legs under it. And then with Blanco still out injured and Abobasi just coming back from injury, and just the goalkeeper injury crisis now that we're dealing with, it's tough to really judge, is this a team that I should be worried about, or is this a team that is going to have a slow start because of CCL and injuries and should be able to pull it together? And maybe they're knocked out of the Supporters Shield race because of all this, but playoffs shouldn't be a concern. I'm still not sure quite where I fall on that.
Yeah, as you know, I'm interested in this project that I've been doing for American Soccer Analysis called Where Goals Come From. And one of the things that Savarese noted, and I had noted about the Timbers from last season, was that they did score a lot of goals in a number of different ways. They really kind of spread out the ways that they scored goals. But this year, not so much so far. How do they get this attack kind of back on the track of what Savarese is expecting?
Yeah, I'm hoping the answer isn't as simple as get Sebastian Blanco healthy. I think last year, during MLS's back, we saw his impact on the team. I think when healthy, I think they're at the point where he is their best player and their most dangerous attacker. So I hope it's not just that. And yeah, they definitely scored from a lot of different ways last year, which can be a good thing. My concern with it is sometimes I watch the Timbers and feel like there's not a cohesive plan to fall back on when just try things isn't working in the attack. So it ends up in goals from lots of different places. But I think that, the best teams, they have that identity that when things aren't easy, they have something that they know what the plan is to fall back on and how we're going to break teams down. And I don't always know that the Timbers have that. So, in the short term, it might be, if Diego Valeri can pull out some magic, that might be what needs to get the team back on track. I think at their best, when they can hit teams in transition, even if Blanco's out, I think, Valeri, Williamson in the midfield, Chara, obviously, those three in the midfield, and then combined with their wing play, they can hit teams in transition and it's lethal. I haven't seen, I guess I'll say, in the attack, it hasn't clicked quite, but I haven't seen a lot in the first few weeks that has me concerned about their attack. It's just got to click and kind of get going.
So from that perspective, one of the things that I like to talk to people about is the way that teams try to get onto the front foot. And quite often it's the way that they press. It's the way that they try to win the ball in advantageous areas. One of the things that Quakes fans are now getting quite used to is that these teams that tend to play kind of mid-block, styles, they sit back a little bit. Somehow, every time they play the Earthquakes, now all of a sudden they're being high pressed. We saw RSL do it a couple of weeks ago. They're not typically a high pressing team. We actually saw Seattle do it last night. Also, not really known for doing a high press, but they were very effective with it. Some teams effective, some teams not. And it's always a gamble when there's speed up top that the Quakes have with Christian Espinoza and Cade Cowell. How do you think Savarese will approach the Quakes? Will he take the risk in pressing high, or do you think he's going to sit a bit deeper and neutralize any threat in behind?
Yeah, it looks to me like the Timbers have been pressing more to start this season than they have in previous years, where they have, just sat back a little bit more. I think that against the Quakes, especially if we see Jimmy Chara and Dyron Espria starting on the wings, I think that would be a sign to me that there is going to be some of that press, because those are both just hardworking two-way players that, Chara especially can offer a lot going forward, but like those two both are going to put an incredible effort both ways. So I could see that, that press continuing to be at a little bit higher level than the Timbers have done previously. You mentioned, Cade Cowell and Espinoza and the pace there. The fullback, the whole back line for the Timbers concerns me, but it's particular to Cowell and Espinoza. The fullbacks, I think jury's out on Bravo. There's moments where I watch him and I think, hey, this is a good player. And there's moments where I watch him and I think maybe he's not good at soccer. And Ronkin, I'm more confident is a good soccer player. But both of them love to get forward, which is great in building up, but also can easily leave you getting hit in transition. And I've seen a couple of moments from the Quakes this year where that transition, those balls to Cade Cowell and he's just, flying down the field. That scares me, particularly like the Timbers center backs aren't particularly fast. And looking like we may have, our fourth string keeper, who's I think a teenager, and I'm sure he has the talent and he looks like he's got potential, but he's clearly not ready to be playing MLS minutes. So that has a little bit of fear in me for this weekend.
I don't blame you. So thanks for joining us again today. You're wearing a special shirt. I know it means a lot to you. Maybe talk about your project there and how fans can get a hold of you and follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, so the uniform I'm wearing here, this is Lansing Common FC. We are a nonprofit, community-run amateur team competing in the Midwest Premier League. And this kind of grew out of Lansing Ignite, which was our local League One team folding in 2019. Our first match kicking off this weekend on Saturday night. And it's just been an incredible journey. And so, if people want to connect with me on, social media, I'm at Eric W Soccer, but also I would say, check out Lansing Common FC. That's most of my tweets are about these days anyways. So, yeah, we're super excited and the community seems to be super excited and I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric, for joining us today. Fans, don't forget, Timbers versus Earthquakes from PayPal Park on Saturday night at 7:00. Your post-game show is going to be the Aftershock. Please join us to see the press conference and hear the analysis and join in with your fellow fans and have the fantastic discussions that you have in the chat. We will talk to you then. Have a good rest of your day.